Okay, other stuff that has made it into the American fabric. Did you know that "You Can't Handle the Truth" was going to be people? I mean, I hear that now.
You never know the lines and the scenes that you make in movies, whether they're going to stick or become part of the vernacular or anything like that. So, no, we didn't know. I mean, we knew it's a great scene. Right. I mean, you got Jack Nicholson, one of the great film actors of all time, delivering it, but you don't know. I mean, one of the thing I get so much pride in is that fact that my mother, delivers the line in When Harry Met Sally. I'll have what she's having.
That's your mom?
Yeah, that's my mom.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that's my mom.
That's
awesome. So that gives me a kick because that line has now been voted by the AFI as one of the top 5 movie lines of all time.
That's
along
so
with,
funny.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. And, so my mother, Estelle Reiner's in there with Clark Gable, which I get a big kick out of.
She must love that.
Well, she's not with us anymore, but she did for years, and I love the fact that she's part of history now.
How about Inconceivable?
Inconceivable, which, by the way, Wally Shawn, who plays the character Vincini in Princess Bride, he has somebody asks him to say that every day of his life, or they yell it.
So is it a burden?
They yell it.
Well,
I think people enjoy it because Mandy Patinkin, who plays Inigo Montoya, people are always asking him to say, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." So I think that people get a kick out of it.
I gotta think they love it. And I was even saying to Sarah before you came in, you could have stopped with All in the Family and still been able to say, I was on a great TV show.
Right, for years and years.
I had a great run, and yet you've gone on to accomplish so much more. But that's probably cool for those guys to be, as you're saying, these lines that are now part of America.
Yeah,
right?
no, I mean, people, they always ask me, do people still call you Meathead, from All in the Family? And I get it every day. I mean, somebody will say that every day to me, and it's tremendous. It's a kick that people, remember these things.
But it's nice that you've been able to transcend that because, Gilligan never did,
right.
He tried to do other stuff, and he was always Gilligan, but you've just gone on to, it's not the first thing I think about when I think about you. Go ahead, Hooman.
Last night, Meathead told a really funny story.
See, there you go. By the way, you're the first one today.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind telling the story again, it was it was the John Gotti story. Could you tell that story?
Oh, well, this is crazy because, you get these lines, thrown back at you, but I was, this was when Nora Ephron was still alive. She says to me, "You want to go to this restaurant? John Gotti eats there every Thursday." And I thought, "Oh, okay, I'll go there."
Not on a Thursday though.
Well, no, we did. We went on the Thursday.
We want to go see John Gotti.
We wanted to see John. Yeah. So.
Aren't you worried about possible gunfire?
Well,
I would think that's the day you don't go, Rob.
You take those chances, when you want to see somebody like. So, anyways, Thursday at 8:00, in walks John Gotti with like 6 wise guys, and he sits down at the table. He kind of looks at me, and I look at him. We recognize each other, but I don't want him to recognize me too much. I'm trying to keep my distance. We finish our meal. I walk out of the restaurant, and there's this huge limo parked out there with a guy that looks like Luca Brasi standing in front of it from The Godfather, and he says to me, "You killed my father. Prepare to die." And I thought, oh, God, I almost went right there on the sidewalk. He says, "I love that movie, The Princess Bride." So when you start penetrating those guys,
right?
then you know you.
Well, they're human beings like everyone else. They need to be entertained.
He likes a good romantic love story with adventure.
We are talking with Rob Reiner. One of the other stories that Hooman brought back last night, Stand By Me, one of my faves. He said that you spent a couple weeks leading up to it, just kind of getting these children ready to film this thing. But I also heard that you had to yell at them at one point. You must get asked about this a lot because you seem like a very nice person, and I just can't imagine you being.
This was to get them motivated to they're on the railroad track, and they're being chased by the train, and there are these grips. It was 100 degrees out there, and the grips were pushing this dolly down the track, a big heavy camera, and they were sweating and dying. We did take after take after take, and finally, they're never in danger. The train didn't even enter the trestle because I used a very long lens to compress it to make it look like the train was right on top of them, but it wasn't even close. So the kids, they didn't feel like there was any danger, you know. So I ran the train through and showed them, look at this thing. It's gonna imagine this hitting you, and they still didn't do it. And then finally, I said, you see those guys over there? They're tired. They're tired of pushing that camera down the track, and the reason they keep doing it is because you won't do what you're. And I like this, and then they started crying, and they were going like this. I said, roll the camera, and they started running, and they were crying and running, and then they jumped off the track, and they came over to me, and they gave me a big hug, and they said, we did it, Rob, we did it. They said, you guys were great.
Classic.
Are you actually, can you get super mad and mean and upset? And
Yeah, I don't usually do things like that. I mean, and they kind of knew I was not really getting
just
crazy.
Trying to get
I was just trying to get them worked up. And most of the time, you know, with kids, they usually have the instinct to do what they're supposed. Like and so it goes. This girl, Sterling, you know, you see her cry, and I didn't have to do anything. I mean, she could cry on cue, which was it's uncanny. I mean, it's just absolutely uncanny.
Had she had a lot of acting experience?
Well, she
before the
played.
movie?
I found out that she had played Brad Pitt's daughter in World War Z before she did this film, and so yeah, she's done a number of things since then. She's incredibly talented.
Yeah, I guess there's a few kids that really
you have it. You either have it or you don't. I mean, River Phoenix had that. Although I must say, in the scene where he cries about the teacher stealing the milk money, there's a scene where he's crying about, he's talking to Gordy at the campfire. He was struggling with that, and I basically took him aside and I said, just think about a time, if there's ever been a time in your life when an adult has let you down. And he didn't tell me what it was, but then the next take that you see in the movie where he's crying like that, it was...
Nailed it.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Do you find that you have to do a lot more takes when you're working with child actors, or that's just sort of about the scene and not necessarily that they're young? Or
Well, you do sometimes have to do a lot because they have great instincts, but they don't have a lot of craft.
Right.
So, sometimes you have to stand off camera and spoon feed them, you know, basically say, do it like this, and just keep the camera rolling. But many times they have the perfect instinct, and you don't have to do that.